amazingly, you've made it up to the power clean part. So as you're now moving closer and closer to the full clean, a lot of these movements should be second nature. So you've worked on the pull for long enough that you know where your knees need to be. You're not hitting the knees aren't shooting back too soon. You're getting that scrape of the thigh, you're laying a shrug and keep the arms loose for as long as you can. You know how the bar should feel when you catch it on the shoulder. You know, a lot of this should be second nature now because we want to simplify the movement and slow it down as we speed things up. We don't want to think as much, and I want you to be a little bit more operating on feeling rather than just trying to think about every little bit. This is why this is later in all the other stages. For the power clean, same setup. Okay, hands outside, knees, elbow contact, shoulders over the bar, chest up. So now the biggest thing I would say is push through the legs, as we said, take the tension out of the bar with the legs, then drive up, shrug, catch. As I'm doing this movement, really feel the legs, push, contact, and through. Again, up, push, getting underneath. Remember, for a power clean, as long as you catch it above parallel, so if you kind of catch it here, it's not really a power clean. If you catch it above, and that's all good. So when you're doing the movement, make sure you're going up, catching around here or higher, just not down here. So that's not your power clean. If you go lower than parallel, that gets into a squat clean. Just make sure you catch parallel or above. Look from the side. Same cues, same concepts. Push through the legs, drive up, catch. As you go heavier, you might catch a bit lower. And you work on that position. Play around with this, remember to have fun. As you can see, I'm not driving the bar away from me. I'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, just make sure you push through the legs, feel that tension, arms nice and loose, catching above parallel. Yeah, not too much to say now. A lot of the information's been covered. Now you just got to keep practicing for it to become second nature. So some common mistakes now for the power clean. We are moving a bit more quickly than, say, the pull. So there is that speed element there, but I do want you to control it from the floor and then build speed towards the second, third, and final stage of the pull. So what I mean by this, don't just try to get heaps of speed straight away. Think about taking the tension with your legs, control through. So you're controlling it, tension, control, through, up. I like to think about control and build speed, just so you maintain leg drive for as long as you can. I don't love the cue slow and then fast, because people can overdo this. So some people can then go too slow and then because they have to get all the speed from their hips, they then just kind of shoot the bar away from them. So I like the idea of controlling it from the floor. I don't want to see this jolting action. If you hear the bar do that, someone hasn't taken the tension out of it correctly. So I listen for that sound, because if you take the tension well, like this, then go, it should be kind of silent after you've taken the tension out of the bar. If you hear this, where they've jolted or taken the tension too quickly, it's like a rope that's really loose, and all of a sudden there's heaps of tension onto it. Okay, but if you pre-tense the rope, then add the tension on top of that, you're going to have a lot more effective strength through the whole system. So to reinforce that, this is just the main thing I see. Like, if you've gone through all the other bits, your elbows should be in the right position. They should be up. You should be upright when you catch the bar. Your eyes should be forward, chest up. A lot of those positions should be correct. But the biggest thing I find now when people get to the power clean is they just rush from the floor, or they don't create the tension with their legs. So I'll show you the way I want it. Push, up, catch. The way I don't want it, someone may start flexed, remember extend, but then they just jolt the bar. So they go like this, or where they go from no tension to all the tension. Big thing I like to tell people is try to get 10% tension and then the rest of it 90, rather than 0 to 100. So you can go 10%, 90, rather than 0, 100. So the biggest thing now, control from the floor, build speed as you get towards and past the knee. Practice holding the catch, remember to be above parallel. A lot of the other key things should be there if you've done all the other parts well, and if you spent time there. So ideally, you haven't come to this stage straight away. If you're learning the clean, you've spent, say, maybe 4 to 5 weeks at each stage, then you're coming to this part maybe 10 weeks down the track, for example. Then I would suspect that you've spent quite enough time. If you have Olympic weightlifting history and you've done quite a bit of it, then you may have come to this part quite a lot faster. But just try to see if you're doing that. Are you going from no tension to all the tension? Well, you should try to push with your legs 10%, take the slack out of the bar, so you shouldn't hear that sound, and then you should really drive through the floor. I like the cue control. I like the control and then build, because it teaches still a really strong emphasis. I don't like slow then fast, for example. It's just the words that click with me. Slow fast might work for someone else, but I find when I say slow to fast, people probably just slow it down too much. But when I say control, they just understand that it's to not be a dickhead from the floor and to not just like yank it. You know, they actually have to control it and then build that speed. So that's the main thing I'd suggest now, is working on that position and getting reps in the tank and practicing that.